A good day for the Noles. I want to talk a little bit about Mike Norvell, the $4.5 million. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of portal commits. Listen, we're not going to go insane hyping every Harlan. I was just talking bad about you. We're not going to go insane hyping every single portal commit, but I do think two portal commits today that are certainly positions of need, and hopefully will make a big impact for Florida State this year. Is this the first tackle, like the first true tackle that we've had in how long? Like truly, how long has it been? Right? Like Washington played there last year and was good. 2023. You had Harris. Harris was in. When was the last time you really had a tackle? I think you may have that. Crazy that, again, not crazy hyping anything. But it is funny to pull a guy from Vandy and go kind of crazy about it. But a kid who won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, a kid who, certainly played better and graded out better than any offensive lineman that Florida State had this year. And honestly, I don't want to go back and look, but may grade out better than anybody that you had last year either. 6'3", 200 or 325. Yeah, not 200 anymore. 325-pound offensive lineman. I think played 37 games in 3 years at Vanderbilt. And in the year 2024, undefeated against Alabama. So Alabama Slayer in Gus Malzahn, Alabama Slayer in Gunnar Hansen. Can we start telling lies about Alabama yet? I don't think I'm quite ready for that. Also got James Williams, a defensive end. James Williams, big pickup, an edge prospect, really productive for Nebraska. Of the edge prospects that were coming or that were leaving Nebraska, he was certainly the one that I wanted the most. I really wanted all three just because I think you need to stack the talent there. But getting Williams is a big deal. I think he's your defensive end number one next year, and I think you need to continue pulling those guys in. We'll see if they can land anybody else. We'll see who else is around. I would have really liked Cersei from Florida. I would have really liked Pyburn from Florida. I think both those guys are very talented. One ended up at LSU and one ended up at Bama. So, it's not like those guys were just going somewhere absolutely terrible or downgrading. They left Florida for better programs. And so those obviously didn't come to fruition. I know that Florida State was in contact with Pyburn. I don't know if they just didn't push hard enough or what the situation was there. Their portal strategy at times leaves something to be desired, but I'm not being negative tonight. All right, commitments. James Williams, he is hilarious. He's just responded to a couple of things on Twitter that are really, really funny. And I don't know that I could do the jokes justice of telling like what they were or what, but I think he is going to fit in well with FSU fans and the FSU culture, and just he seems pretty fun. He's again, I can't explain the whole joke. It just wouldn't be funny if I tried to, and so I won't. But essentially, he's just responded to some really funny things. If you don't follow me on Twitter, that's totally fine. But go to my page and I've retweeted it all, right? Like it's literally like 3 or 4 retweets down. It's well worth the laugh. Like if you're not on Twitter already, go do that. Outside of that, really productive player. Really good player for Nebraska. One of their better defensive linemen. 16 games, 7 sacks, 6'6", 250, a true edge rusher that I think has, I'm not trying to be cliche on this, but high motor, gym rat type, right? Absolutely get after it. And I think somebody that will shine in this system because he's played in it for multiple seasons, right? Not full seasons, but multiple seasons under Coach Knighton. I do really think he'll excel here, and I think he'll be really good. And again, not doing the whole thing of like hyping up every single move that happens for Florida State this offseason because we've been burned before. But just being honest on kind of the way that we see things working out this year, I think this is a really solid pickup. I don't think they're done at defensive line. I think they need to do more at defensive line. When Florida State's defensive line has been at its best, you think about how deep they were in 2023, and that needs to continue. that depth and that rotating of guys to keep them fresh and to not have quite that drop off and to have your guys playing their best ball at the end of the year, I think you do want to continue to bring in really talented guys. We talked a little bit at the beginning with the Vandy transfer. Again, I think an offensive lineman, you probably need to continue to load up there. It seems really promising that you've got multiple offensive linemen on campus. You're linked to multiple, what would you call it? Multiple UCF offensive linemen. Look, I'm going to look down while I read this, just so so sorry that you have to look at the top of my bald head while I do it. UCF's offensive linemen last year, so 75 and above on PFF is like a really like above average. 65 and above is kind of good. Like 60-ish is average. And then like 55 to 60 is kind of like below average. Everyone on their team, their grades for their top, everyone who played 100 snaps or more, 75, 67, 67, 66, 60, and 57. Florida State didn't have one guy hit the high 60s. Like, this is absolutely, like, anyone you could get, whether they get the Kittler kid, whether they get the Medley kid, whether they get Marshall. Marshall even had a 74 pass block grade. All of their pass block grades are bright green, bright green, bright green, bright green. Like, they were so much better than anything Florida State even thought about putting out. And so this, and then obviously having already worked with Herb Hand would be huge too. If you took UCF's offensive line from last year and put it in Garnet and Gold last year, like just took their best 5 and brought them over, Florida State probably makes a bowl game. Like that's how much better they were and how they graded out, opponent adjusted and everything else. So anyone that Florida State can pull in from UCF, automatic upgrade over what you had this year. And it's not even close. Like it's not even a question. I would actually share the PFF stuff, but I think it's all private and you're not supposed to do that. And I don't want my YouTube channel to get shut down for sharing their info. But if you message me on social media, I'll send you a picture of it. But yeah, from Amari Knight, who was their best for sure, Amari Kite, Kight, to Caden Kittler, Rubelt, Medley, Kinney, and then Marshall, all of them much better than anything you had in Tallahassee this year. So anyone you could get off of that offensive line would be great. All of that to say, the Vandy kid, a massive upgrade too. Huge offensive tackle, true offensive tackle type body, has played a ton of games in the SEC. I understand that it's Vandy. I understand that you'd say like, oh, that's the worst team in the SEC. They actually weren't. They weren't even close to the worst team in the SEC this year. Beating Bama, obviously a big deal, but they played really well in other games too that they didn't win. And a highly sought-after transfer that Florida State did a really good job of shutting things down and getting him on campus and getting things closed off very fast. So overall, a really good day. And I don't think Florida State's anywhere close to done.